Hey guys, Pat Donegan here. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about something that's become popular in the past few years with bass fishing. Only very recently with muskie fishing, which is amazing because I've been doing it for a flipping decade. And that is the Alabama rig, which, interesting fact, if it's not from the Tuscaloosa area of Alabama, it's actually known as a sparkling umbrella rig. I just made that up. Anyhow, this is something that's become really mainstream in the past, probably, I guess 8-10 years through bass fishing. Basically, it's a casting variant of what already existed called the umbrella rig, which is something a lot of saltwater anglers use. Striper fishermen for trolling. They condensed it and made it into something meant for casting for bass, multi-species. The thing is, I think a lot of people kind of got enamored with the fact that they've got all these little blades, all these little baits, they can do all this stuff. And most states have like some kind of regulation, you only have 3 hooks. Who the hell cares? Whatever. You're only trying to get them at 1, right? So let me tell you something. About 10 years ago, I guess 9 years ago, I started playing around with these things for muskie. I was trying to analyze them, and I was like, look, I don't want this to just be what it is. I want to make it functional. I want to optimize it. I want to Buckberry 316 it. I want to make this thing the most optimized, functional, versatile tool I possibly can. So instead of becoming, wide-eyed and grinning over the elements of all the blades, I did something one day, screwing around with the boat by myself, that I call the Seance rig. Why do I call it Seance? Because it's a pentagram. What do you know? But there's some logic to this, and I spent some time, well, it's probably 15 minutes, probably the max what I did, kind of playing around with this a little bit. And I had the one I had actually had some blades on the arms. I don't think you need that. I think that's unnecessary. You can do that if you want, but when it starts to interfere with the function of it, that's when you need to just kind of slow down and be like, okay, well, this is not what this is about. What's really interesting about this rig and the way that I arrange it is what it does, because fish don't eat things because of what they are. Fish eat things because of what they do. So what does this do? Let me break it down for you. The reason I made it into a pentagram is this. I wanted some control mechanism on the top that would actually right the angle of the bait as I used it and control the descent of the rate of the fall and the actual direction so it didn't tumble. Most Alabama rigs, sparkling umbrella rigs, actually don't have any center of gravity base to them. If anything, it's offset from the back. It comes way off like this, and then all these arms go back. So they're basically just meant for a lateral presentation, which is fine if that's all you want to do. You can do that with this, and I wanted more. I wanted more depth, speed, size control, depth and speed control to incorporate into this. So what I started doing, I was like, wait. Think about the forces at play here. So if I want to do this and I want to make this thing stay level, I need a center of gravity, right? Or where do I put the center of gravity? At the top or bottom of the star of the pentagram. Hence the Seance. So this is a blah, 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 blah swim bait head with a blah, blah, blah Berkeley swim bait. And then I found 2 matching non-weighted swim bait heads. And this is not important. Whatever swim bait you want to use, I don't care. Doesn't matter. The important part is center of gravity in the center, off the main arm, offset a little bit, off the back. Why do I bend these forward? I'll show you in a video in a minute as I kind of do this half-ass by myself here with the camera guy as the seat. And basically what you're doing is you're using this as a lateral presentation, and you want it to have that flush effect. So I bend these arms forward. You kind of want to get it, doesn't have to be perfect. I kind of screwed this one up a little bit, you can see. You want it to be somewhat even. So whenever you use them, you realize that they're going to be pulling resistance against the water, right? So you want it to flush. I like that flush effect. So when you pull it, it pulls back, and then springs back forward. I would like to make one of these in titanium. A Seance made in titanium would be awesome. But for now, I can deal with this. By the way, shout out. It's hard to find an Alabama rig, sparkling umbrella rig today that isn't just inundated with blades. I mean, they just go full Barbara Streisand on this shit, and they just make it bling all day. I mean, it's like you couldn't even stare into it directly in the sun. I like them a little bit more basic and naked because I don't like those other influences. Because basically what I'm trying to do is create resistance here. These blades keep the angle of it upright because this is the lift. Center of gravity is on the bottom. These 2 things are here just for auxiliary stimulus. Like I said, what do you call a bait? Call every bait a stimulus package. What's really cool about the Alabama rig is not the whole of this product. it's not about this thing. They're not interpreting this as one single entity. They got this, and they got this, and they got this, and they got this, and they got this. So these are 5 different stimulus because these little arms aren't really making much in the water as far as resistance is. And it's negligible to their lateral line compared to what these other things are doing. Now, why do I really make it do this? What's the reason behind this? Well, let me show you. When you start thinking buck 316, you stop thinking about bait. You stop thinking about, well, this lure. You break everything down to stimulus. It's a stimulus package. So what stimulus am I looking at here? Looking at what kind of depth control I can have. Well, size control, which is interesting because the cool thing about an Alabama rig, especially when you're muskie fishing, is you can present smaller stimulus, smaller size, in a package that's castable on standard muskie equipment, which I think is kind of neat and actually encourages people to actually use smaller presentations where otherwise they might not because they'd have to downsize to a spinning rod, blah, 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 blah. But the cool thing is about this, let me show you. For you guys that speak muskie-ese, you can fish this like a bulldog. Let me show you. We were talking about the Seance rig. I got away from some people. Talking about how I arranged it like a pentagram, hence the name Seance. Watch as this enters the water. Both blades. So I put it in sideways. So watch. No matter which way it enters the water, you can do it like this. Oh, I went in right that time. No matter what you do. See how it helicopters down? Center of gravity. The ounce jig head and the weight holds everything in place. See how it rights itself? So you guys are like figure eighting on muskies, watch this. See how it rings and then it rights itself? Swings that body out and then the blades catch up and it rights itself again. You can fish this like a bulldog, see? You can literally throw it out. And it's really cool because all the little bodies swim first head down. That one got a little snagged up. I don't know what's wrong with it. I think it's good.